Hello everybody. Join me today as I take on the challenge of creating any text into 3D by using just Fusion 360 and my 3D printer.
So when you open Fusion, you're going to click top and center the screen. And then you click create new sketch, and select the plane. I use the flat plane and just left click on that. Next, you'll click create again and text. Make a square. Doesn't really have to be a specific size because you could adjust that later. I normally like making mine into a nice box. And that size is way too big for us, and it doesn't really matter because we could change that later on our Bambu software. So then up there in that little box, you're going to type in the text you want, and you could change the different fonts. You can also add fonts, but I will not get into that into this video. I used Arial Black. All you do is click OK. Next from there, I'll hit the construction line button, and I will draw a rectangle to connect these letters together. And I'll line it up and click enter. Then from here, I'll hit create again and extrude. I'll click on the text, and for this file, I'm going to put 0.75 and hit enter. Now my text is extruded, and it's actually in a 2D format or a 3D format, whatever you may call this. Next, I will click on making my sketches visible, and you could see the construction lines, and then I'll hide the body. And I'll hit create again, create new sketch, and I will get my rectangle tool and follow the rectangle sketch I made earlier on as a reference point. I'll click to the size I want it to be, and I'll hit enter. Finish sketch, and then I hide the sketches, and I will hit extrude, and you could select it. You have to select it in order for it to put it in action. And then for this little bracket, I'm going to make that 0.25, and you got to make sure to hit join because we want it to join the actual dog and be a part of it. And there you have it. Those pieces will be held together once they're 3D printed by that little bracket that we made for it. Next, we will save the file as a 3MF, as most 3D printers read that file. And then we export, and we open that up in Bambu Labs, and that's in my case. I'll be using Bambu Labs. And here you see Bambu Labs opening. This is a brand new computer. It's probably going to ask me to update, which I don't need to. I'm going to skip that for this video. So here you see an error because the part that was dropped into the build plate is very big. So what we're going to do is we're going to scale that down by hitting that top button. And now that it fits on the build plate, we don't have any errors, and you could literally just print like this. However, if you do want to make it bigger, you can always rotate your parts diagonally, and that will give you more room to scale it up and make it bigger. I have a little example that I did in this video for you guys, so you could make that a little bit bigger. You could also cut these into parts. We're not going to get that deep into it, but For this video, I'm not going to make it too big so it prints quickly. And then I'll just make that straight before I print it. And then from here, we'll go over a few of the options in Bambu Studio before you hit print. So I'll be using my A1 to print this. I'll hit A1 with the 0.04 nozzle. And I don't have my PLA set up in here, so I'm just going to use one that's on there. I usually use Overture. I really like that brand. It works really well. So I'll use Bambu PLA Basic, and then for my minimum temp, I put 200. For my max temp, I put 205. For the initial layer, I put 205, and the next layers after would be 200. My build plate temp would be 45 for the initial layer, and then 35 degrees for the layers after. And since this is a Bitcoin and dog project, we're gonna make this orange. Hit OK. That looks so much better. Next, I'm actually gonna, hang on, I'm gonna click advanced here. So I have all the options. So over here is the quality section. We're not gonna get too deep into these details, but next tab is strength, and then speed and support. So for this file, we don't need to change much around, but I did want to show you guys this portion where it makes the print much more finer quality. So wherever it says 0.08, that's really fine. The layers are really thin, so it makes it cleaner, less grainy, if you would call it. And then when it's at 0.28 millimeters, the lines are much thicker, and you could use that for drafting or creating stuff for the first time. And then sparse infill density is how dense you want the item to be. Right now I hit 90%, so if you look over here, it's basically solid inside. Like there's no air gaps, it's solid, it'll make the strongest part like that. But we don't need that. I'm gonna hit that back to 15%. Another important thing that I would like to mention that I didn't see in many of the videos when I was first learning is the wall loops. So the wall loops is basically the outer wall, and you will see here in the video I just put 10 walls and it will literally make walls around the part. This is overkill. You don't need to do this. Your parts won't come out looking any cleaner. I'm not sure if this would even make it stronger, but just for the demonstration purposes, I put it at 10 walls just so you could see what happens. I'm going to leave that back at 2. And then the other thing is the sparse infill pattern. There's different patterns that give different strengths, such as like lightning. I know that one's a really strong one. It's a very interesting one. I know a lot of people use gyroid for strength because of the patterns that it puts in there. And when I show you the layers of it, you'll see what that looks like. It's a very unique pattern that gives it a lot more strength and rigidity, although it does take a little bit longer to print like that. For this part, again, we don't need anything crazy. We're just gonna go ahead and do the regular one that it asked us to, that the software decided to use, which is grid. And then we're gonna hit slice plate. And when I pull this down and show you the layers, you see there's a lot of air gaps in there. And that's that 15% infill compared to the 90% solid. So with that said, we just hit print. I'm gonna pick my A1 printer and send it to that. And I always do a time lapse. It records the part being made, although on the A1 it's pretty terrible.
So here we have it, the printed text. I chose to use $DOG. That's the projects I've been working on lately. This is my thing. This is you could literally make anything you want. You could write any text you want, but it's that simple to make any text into 3D. All you need is a software like Fusion. You don't have to use Fusion. That's what I use. I really love Fusion. And a good 3D printer. It doesn't have to be a great 3D printer. Bambu Labs do just fine. I started off with an X1C, which was pretty expensive. It prints really well, but then I realized that I could just get the A1s, which are also multicolor, and they come with the AMS for like 540 bucks. Bambu Labs actually has a special on their website. They're getting rid of them for really cheap. The A1 prints really well. I printed this one on the A1 because that's my new go-to printer. I'm probably gonna buy like 4 more within a month because I use my 3D printers a lot. But it's getting really common in every single household. A statistic I was actually checking the other day, which is pretty interesting, is 1 in every 1,000 households has a 3D printer. So I know some of you may not have it, but there's really cheap ones. They sell them for like 100 bucks. I don't recommend them because you have to fiddle and play around with them a lot. I personally don't have time like that to do anything like that, so I just go with a proven and trusted brand like Bambu Labs. They have great prices. If you don't get the AMS, you could get an A1 Mini for like 200 or 250 bucks, which is killer. I mean, these printers are phenomenal. They do a great job. Uh, it's really fun. It's a fun thing to have. You could make a lot of projects. You could actually make money with this stuff. I've made money with my 3D printers. They literally pay themselves off if you actually put a little bit of time into it and get creative and find a niche market that you could actually make stuff to sell for. And for instance, like this is something that could sell really easily on the platforms that I'm on. I know there's so many people that would pay at least like 15 bucks for this plus shipping to get it. So you could literally be making money just sitting at home. Like it could be a new job for you. You could do it on the side. I personally don't have time to make little things like this and sell them, but you definitely can. Like if you sell just 8 of these, you're already talking about 100 bucks, and it takes around 40 minutes for the machine to make one. So you could probably pump out at least 8 in a day using it back to back. If you have multiple printers, you could literally pump this out in like a couple hours, like 2 or 3 hours. I could, with the amount of printers I have, I could do this probably in like 2 hours for like at least 10 of them. And it's really cool. And you don't have to be limited to one category. You could literally make name plaques and sell them on Etsy. You could make people's names. You could make custom names. You could do these in color. You could change the colors. You could have variations and options. It's a cool way to get into 3D printing, learn it, and also make money on the side. I mean, why wouldn't you want to get one if you could get your money back on it? There is a little downside into doing this. You will not make an Etsy store and just make sales right off the bat the next day, or anywhere else you're gonna sell it. Don't expect to get a printer and make it and sell it. Your first item might not be a hit. It might be a hit. You never know. I realized that when I got this 3D printer, it took me at least like 6, 7 months to sell one item. And I've been in different type of businesses, so I have a decent marketing strategy. And it wasn't even easy for me, but it's definitely doable. It's not a big investment where you're like investing thousands of dollars and you're not gonna get your money back. But it's something to consider. You guys could definitely get it, tinker with it, and worst case scenario, you have a nice 3D printer at home where you can make anything you want. You can make toys, you can make fidgets. It's endless the amount of stuff you could do with it. But this is just one I wanted to put out there. Now, if you followed along with the video, you obviously know how to make any text into 3D. It's that simple. If you guys have any questions, like I always say, feel free to leave any questions or comments in the down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer it and help you guys get on the right path. And besides that, if you like my video, if you like my videos, please do like, comment, subscribe, react with it. It definitely helps drive me and make more content for you guys. I haven't been doing it for a while, but I'm back into it now. So we're growing really quickly, and I really appreciate every single support that I get from you guys. The comments help. They definitely make me excited and make me want to go and make more videos. So if you like this video, please do hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys on our next video.